Hey everyone, so over the course of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I built my property empire, the strategies that I used, and how I went from knowing nothing about property to where I am today. So recently, I acquired 40 properties in 6 months, and previous to that, I'd acquired 21 properties in 7 months, using various strategies, which we're going to cover off in this video. So it all has to start somewhere. So for me, it starts with education. You know, first and foremost, you cannot get anywhere if you do not educate yourself. So we've got to be educating ourselves, and we've got to be learning everything we need to know about property. Now, there's various ways you can do this, and there's various paid channels you can do it as well if you want to accelerate the results. So for me, it was all about books, podcasts, mentors, and some free ebooks and stuff like that as well. But the majority of stuff, the most of I've learned is from the mentors, because you're going direct, you're going straight to the source, you're not having to find the information out yourself. So your success is a lot quicker, you move a lot faster. And ultimately that's what helped me move my portfolio forward at a rapid rate, which obviously creates that cash flow that we're all after. So what we do in our business is a multitude of strategies, and you know, we all have various ways of doing things. But for me, I have obviously my slow strategies, as they call them, which is your BRR or your BDNR. So I'll come on to this in a second, but your BRR and your BDNR. So BRR is obviously buy, refurbish, refinance. That's a way that we use assets, and a way that we buy assets. And from that, we then recycle money. So you can use one pot of money if you do it well, and you can continue to buy more and more properties with that same pot of money. Now, BDNR is my little acronym, and it's basically buy, do not refinance. And that means that you've bought a dud. And that's when things really slow down. So if you imagine you've put in a £15,000 deposit, and you're only going to get a £300 a month cash flow out of it. If you don't buy that right and that gets stuck, it's going to take you, probably including voids and including broken boilers and things like that, you're looking at 5 to 6 years at best to get that money back out. Therefore, you've bought one property in 5 to 6 years. Whereas this strategy here is hugely powerful. By pulling this strategy off, you can buy an infinite amount of property with the same funds, because this 15 grand that you invest, well, you just keep getting that back out and then putting it into another property, and getting it back out and then putting it into another property. And each one, obviously, cash flows £300. And as you can see, you know, your pot starts to build quite quickly over time. Whereas with this one, you're stuck with just getting your one £300 out. But so that is a huge, powerful strategy. Obviously, if you haven't got the money to fund those strategies, you need to think of other ways to get into property. And you know, this is the quickest way to get into property, is using controlling strategies, which again for us is a big part of our portfolio, and it's a mixture of what we call rent to rent. And we have that for both HMOs and serviced accommodation, and we have lease options. Now, these strategies here, they can be done overnight, because you're renting a property. You know, as everyone knows, you can rent a property tomorrow if you want. So you can rent a property overnight. I acquired 5 properties in 10 days when I figured this strategy out. And, you know, I just went hell for leather. And this is a big focus on how you acquire so many properties so quickly. You know, it's difficult to buy 50, 60 houses unless you've got a lot of money. But even if you've got a lot of money, you've got to get out there and source the deals. The legal process can take anywhere from, you know, 4 to 8 to 12 weeks, depending on how you're funding them. You know, it's a lengthy process. So BRR is a great strategy, but it's also a slow strategy. Whereas the controlling strategies is a very quick strategy. You can acquire property tomorrow. You can have them set up the day after. You know, you can have them advertised and even rented, or running a service accommodation, guests coming through the door the day after that. So they're very quick, and they can provide very quick cash flow into your portfolio. Now, within the academy area that I've got, lukeholmesacademy.co.uk, we have a full spectrum of everything, step by step, how it's being done. So we go into serviced accommodation in detail, you know. So what is serviced accommodation? I didn't have a clue what this was until my friend told me. Basically, it's Airbnb. So what you do is you take your house and you run it on Airbnb, you have guests stay and it becomes a mini hotel. You turn it around after every stay and you have somebody else come back in. You use channels like Airbnb, Booking.com, Expedia to advertise yourself, and then they collect the bookings, and then the bookings come to you and you host the guests, which it's a great strategy. It's hugely powerful, and done right, it can make a lot of money. You know, you can have, you know, we've got sort of houses that would normally rent at $550. We've got them pulling sort of $2.5 to $3 grand a month in terms of gross revenue. Now, obviously, we've got a few costs involved in running those operations as opposed to a single let where you just hand it over. But 9 times out of 10, that money makes more money than that money. So for me, I really enjoy the service accommodation strategy. In the academy, we detail that step by step, everything you need to run a service accommodation portfolio. So from your setups to your channel managers to how you get more bookings, to how you analyze the deals. You know, for me, it's really important how you analyze your deals. If you're not analyzing your deals at the beginning, you're going to lose money, or if you're not analyzing them correctly. I always say the money is made at the beginning when you buy a property or you acquire a property, not when you sell it on, or not when you rent it out, or not when you host guests. If you buy the wrong property, you're going to end up in a financial disaster, and it'll slow you right down at best. And worst case scenario, it's going to burn a hole in your pocket and you're going to start losing money. And I have seen this time and time again where investors, they get involved in a strategy they don't fully understand, or they get sold a deal by somebody and they don't do their own due diligence, and the figures are not what they seem to be. They're paying out large rents and the money's not coming in the top end to cover the rent and the bills and everything else that goes with it, and ultimately they're at a net loss each month. Now, no one wants to be in that situation, and that's not how you grow successful businesses. So we have to be making money each month. We've then got our HMO strategy, which is just basically, you know, renting room by room. And that's a very, very simple strategy. You need bigger houses for these. It doesn't work on your 1, 2, and 3 beds. It sometimes works on 4 beds, depending on areas, but typically 5 beds or more. And obviously when you're in 5 beds or more, there's a lot of licensing. Again, all that's covered in the academy. You can, you know, we cover off the licensing, we cover off how to handle tenants, you know, how to work Section 21 and Section 8 if you've got bad tenants and you need to kick them out, or you just need to get the room or the property back. But the room by room method is hugely powerful. So we might rent a property off a landlord for £1,000, which might be their market rent. That could be the market rent for a 5-bed property in that area. And then we might be able to get 5 bedrooms rented out in that house at £500 a room, which is obviously £2,500. And then we obviously pay the landlord the £1,000. We've probably got about £500 worth of bills, and you know, we have a net monthly of £1,000, which is obviously £12,000 a year. Who doesn't want £12,000 a year from a single property? Again, HMO is a bit more intensive than a single let management. So you are going to have to manage guests. You're dealing with a multitude of tenant problems. You're dealing with a multitude of personalities living under one roof. So you've got to then structure your business. You do not want to become a landlord. If you want to become a landlord, it's going to suffocate you. You'll only end up with a small portfolio. You've got to set everything up as though you've got what I call the 1,000 property mindset. So we work in the office here as though we've got 1,000 properties. That is our ultimate target, and that's what we're striving for. But 1,000 properties, if we had 1,000 properties now, could, say, the director of the business be doing viewings for guests? Well, of course they couldn't, because they'd be, you know, they'd have no time to do anything else. You know, so that's how we structure our business, and that's how I advocate that everyone structures their business with a mindset like that. So what systems and processes and people do you have to put in place to manage these? Because if you're going out to guests that have forgot lockbox codes, or if you're going out to tenants that have lost their keys and they've locked themselves out of the rooms all the time, well, that's taking you away from maybe researching a good BRR deal or speaking to another landlord about getting another deal on, you know, and ultimately it takes you away from the making money side of the business, and you're doing the doing tasks, as I call them, which have no value to the business apart from serving it. It doesn't bring any more money into the business because you've already got the money coming in. So you have to think about how you structure your business. Again, in the academy, this is all covered. We work out how to layer stuff. I show you the systems and the software that I use, how we link systems and softwares together to make your life easy, make it automated, and ultimately not have to employ loads of staff. Because while staff are great, and you know, a good member of staff is a good investment in your business, but you want to limit the amount of people that you do take on in your business and try and replace them with software, because obviously software is cheaper. It turns up to work every day. It doesn't take any holidays, and they're just a lot more reliable, and it's cost efficiency, you know, more than anything. So we have this. For me, is how you really accelerate your portfolios, how you really push it forward, and done correctly, it's hugely powerful. Now, the other alternative to sort of a controlling strategy, again, which we have a mix of in our portfolio, is lease options. So what is a lease option? Effectively, what we're going to do is, there's people who maybe, let's think you have sort of people who are inherited properties, tend to be a good one, for example. So someone might have inherited a property, they have no intention of being a landlord. Okay, there's a lot of people that do not want to be landlords. They don't like the idea of it. Maybe they don't have the risk appetite. They maybe don't have, whilst they might have inherited property, they might not have the financial support behind them to cover another mortgage if anything goes wrong. If they have any void periods, they might not be able to afford a boiler if that breaks. So there's a lot of people that do inherit properties, and this is just one of the sort of types of people that you may pick up from a lease option. There's multiple types of people. Again, in the academy, we detail all those out. So inherited property, why would someone maybe want to offload an inherited property? As I said, they might not want the risk of it. And what we would then do is we take over that property as though it was ours, but what we actually do is we agree to buy it in the future. So we have a future date, which could be 10 years from now, and we say, we're going to pay you X amount of money for that property. And what we then do is we then pay whatever the mortgage typically on that property each month, and then we run that property for the 10-year period. Any maintenance, we pick that bill up along the way. That becomes ours. You know, we pick that bill up, and we just continue to pay that mortgage for them. Now, why would someone do that? Well, in this situation here, if you inherit a property, depending on the value of it, you might have capital gains tax to pay if you cashed it in, or you might, you know, the bank rates at the minute are pathetic. So why would someone want to cash out a property? And, you know, let's just say for argument's sake, this property is worth 100 grand now. Why would they want to cash 100 grand out and let it sit in the bank and do nothing? So you might agree in 10 years time that you're going to buy it off them for 100 grand. You agree that now, and that all goes in the contract at the start. You agree to take over the money, you agree to pay the payments and all the maintenance throughout the 10-year period, and then at that period, you'll actually purchase that property. So they get hassle-free for 10 years. They never ever have to worry about a void. They're going to get 10 grand interest on the money, and it works for everybody. So that's just one scenario. It doesn't, lease options covers many other different types of people and different types of situations, but that's pretty much how you can build a property portfolio very quickly. Now, in terms of the strategies, we've covered them, but you know, a property business, and that's what you want to develop. You do not want to be a landlord. I keep saying it. You do not want to be a landlord. You want to create a property business. Now, every business needs to be good at marketing. If you're not marketing, then you know you're not going to develop. So yes, there's ways and means of getting leads. You know, where do you get these properties from? How do you get the motivated sellers? How do you find the distressed landlords? You know, this all comes down to marketing. You know, I've spent a lot of money on marketing. I've spent a lot of money on mentorships for marketing, and it served me very well. And you know, lead generation for me, if you can generate leads into a business, then effectively you've got a constant flow of business, because you can turn that tap on and off. So for me, we do it in a few ways. We've got the Facebook paid ads, we've got Google paid ads, we've got our free channels, which, you know, there's a lot of free websites out there. Again, all these are detailed in the academy. So we've got the free websites. We have our sort of data mining tools, and we have our what else have we got? So we've got the paid ads for Google, free websites, the data mining tools, and we've got our chatbots, which are hugely effective. You know, all these come into just generating leads, and they're all property specific. So we're all going after the right people. So if we want some rent-to-rent leads, we can turn a certain tap on. If we want some below market value deals, we divert them to a certain funnel, and everything is a funnel, you know. So we learn how to to build these sales funnels so we get lots of leads coming in the top here, and ultimately we're getting the results out the bottom. And that is just pure marketing. And a lot of property people, for me, don't get involved in marketing. They just use, the usual routes, which is fine. Estate agents, at the end of the day, estate agents do have the largest amount of stock. But when you want to look at controlling strategies, sometimes estate agents just aren't involved in that. They just don't want to get involved in it. They'd rather just stick to their standard buy-to-lets or their standard sales, and they don't really want to discuss lease options, controlling strategies, rent-to-rent, et cetera, et cetera. So we have to think of other ways to get these people into our business, and we've got to open the conversations up with them, and then we go through the negotiation side. So the negotiation side, again, covered off in the academy. Another mentorship that I've been on, all my experience from that is passed down. So it comes down to actual sales tactics, how to speak to people, how to follow up how to follow up on people and make sure that we're not letting any leads slip through. And all of it is just a case of creating habits, which I'm a huge fan of. I believe that, I think if you create some good habits, then, it takes 21 days to create a habit, which is why I've got the 21-day challenge. If you haven't seen that already, lukeholmesacademy.co.uk/challenge. That is a 21-day challenge, which basically gives you, it's split into 3 weeks. So week 1 is all about the strategies. So what we've kind of talked about today already, that's detailed out more. We actually look in depth in those strategies. Week 2 is the research. So actually, how do we research those strategies? How do we make sure they're right for our area? Or how do we find an area that's right for us? A lot of people want to invest on the doorstep, which is the right thing to start off doing. But if HMOs, for example, don't work on your doorstep, then you've got to go out of area to find them. So, this shows you how we can find it in areas that you don't necessarily know. And then week 3 is all about taking action. So it's split into five working days, and then you get 2 days off each week, or 2 catch-up days. There's a lot of week 2 and 3 are very intense. So, if you need to take a break, we'll give you those 2 days to catch up. And by the end of that, the success of that has been huge. We've had a lot of people go through that program, and by the end of it, the reviews have been fantastic, and the knowledge that they've gained is been second to none. So lukeholmesacademy.co.uk/challenge in case you want to check that out. But 21 days it takes to build a habit. And what we're doing is, with those habits, for me, one of my habits is 2 hours of marketing every day. So at the beginning, when I was doing it, that was me. I was committing to 2 hours of marketing every day. I must admit, I probably still do a good chunk of marketing every single day. I love marketing. I think it's great. I think it's the backbones of every business. And I would much rather be trying to generate leads than I would go out viewing properties. So 2 hours of marketing every day in your business. Now, my business, we have full-time marketing people now. So, we're doing a lot more than that. But at the beginning, I advocate that you've got to be doing at least 2 hours a day. And again, in the academy, we show you how to do that marketing. What marketing should you be doing? How should you be, going after yourself? How do you build your brand? How do you build yourself on social media? What do you need to be doing on social media? Who do you need to be connected with on social media? So, there's a huge scope of what you need to be doing when you are running a property business, And then the last piece of the puzzle, which, for me has hugely helped me grow and help the business catapult itself to where it is. And, it is systems and processes, and, a lot of people talk about these, but they don't really know what they're doing. They don't really know how to pull them off, how to do anything, So for me, what happened was I was when I acquired the 21 properties in 7 months, I had a dry spell after that. I had about 2-3 months where I acquired nothing. And basically I got sucked into the operations. I mean, how can you not? I acquired all these properties. There was just me, and I was having to get them set up. I was having to get them either rented or put on service accommodation. So we start hosting, and then, service accommodation has a lot more legwork than any other strategy. You've got to be, running channel managers. You've got to be setting your pricing. You've got to be checking guests in and out. You've got to be getting contracts signed, checking IDs, collecting deposits. You've got to be arranging cleaners. You've got to be sorting linen out. you know, there's a lot of maintenance when, you know, things go wrong. So there's a lot that happens in serviced accommodation. And the bulk of those properties I did put on serviced accommodation. So you can imagine, there's me, acquired all these properties, and then I'm also putting them on the most intense strategy. And all of a sudden, my time was just, I had no time. I needed probably 48 hours in every day, never mind 24. So I realized at that point, because I was about to explode, that I needed help. So I looked first and foremost at systems and processes, and I started linking systems together. So, you know, we started getting systems to talk to each other. And, you know, so if this happens here, then it takes it to that. And if that happens there, then that notifies so-and-so, and then that feeds into there, and that notifies so-and-so. And by the end of it, I'd built it all out, and it started to really streamline. And then what happened was, I realized that I could then get back out there and acquire more property, because ultimately, if you're not acquiring more property, you can't move your business forward. Because a property, you know, a single house can only make so much money. You know, that house can only make, let's even say on a good month, on a good strategy, probably £1,000 a month. You know, the typical single let, you're probably looking at £200 to £300 a month. You know, so if you want more £1,000 or you want more £200 or £300 a month, you're going to have to get more and more property. That's just common sense. So what we do, and again, it's covered in the academy, is how you then systemize and process your business. What softwares we use, how we get them to talk to another software, how we set them up exactly so that we know exactly what's happening, who gets notified of certain important tasks. You know, and what you want to do is, you as the owner and the entrepreneur, you're the one that needs to get getting the business in. So you need to be making sure that the doing tasks is either being done by software or it's being done by somebody else. So, you know, so that's a huge part of a business that I think gets forgotten about. And I don't really see it getting taught by anybody. I see a lot of people teaching strategies and how to, you know, do rent to rent and how to do serviced accommodation. But no one, for me, gives you the backbones of how you market and get leads into your business, how you systemize and process your business, because this is probably more important. There's no point acquiring loads of property and not knowing what to do with it. Or even worse, you're making so many mistakes because you haven't got the right systems and people in place. You're costing yourself money by having to refund guests because they can't check into a property, or you missed the cleans because you forgot to notify a cleaner so the guests can't check in, or you forgot to advertise a room on spare rooms, so therefore your HMO is not even being out there getting publicized and you're wondering why your rooms aren't getting filled. So, you know, it's hugely important that your systems and processes are in place. So all of this is covered in the academy, lukeholmesacademy.co.uk. It's a membership area. What we also do is inside of that academy, we have our inner circle. I have my daily fuel. So every day there's a video dropped in there, which is just my thoughts, my tips on the moving market, what we're seeing, what I'm feeling, what's maybe happened in my business. If I've discovered something new that I want to share with everybody, that goes in there as well. And it's just, you know, on top of everything else in there, I think there's about 50, 60 videos, if not more, on, you know, serviced accommodation, HMOs, legislation, systems and processes, marketing. There's webinars on there. There's a whole host of things. There's a chat function should you want to reach out to me direct and ask questions. There's a notice board, and then there's the daily fuel. And we'll continue to expand that as well. There's all the YouTube videos that we've done, you know, all the Facebook posts. There's absolutely everything in this members area. For me, if you cannot build a property business by following the step-by-step guide in the members area, then I'm not quite sure whether you're in the right game. Don't take that to heart, but there is enough content there, and it's everything from how I've done it. So it's purely from my experience. So how I did that, how I got that result doing that, you know, what stopped me doing that and how did I fix it, and therefore there's a video on that, and it shows you step-by-step guides on how to get there, how to do it, and whatever strategy you decide to start with is in there. And then if you want to obviously diversify, as I advocate, you 100% should diversify your portfolios, then that is in there as well to help you move forward. So go and check it out, lukeholmesacademy.co.uk if you haven't already. If you want to join the 21-day challenge, it's just lukeholmesacademy.co.uk/challenge. And I really hope that you do take this chance It's a cancel anytime program. So if it's not for you, you can cancel and get out of it. But I'm confident that this is for you. The content in there will blow you away, and it will, no matter where you are in your property journey, it will give you that one bit of value. You know, even if you're an experienced property investor and it just shows you how to systemize your business better, is that worth the money? Of course it is. Even if you're, you know, a really experienced business and you're a hugely successful business owner, but it just gives you that one lead generation tool that opens your pipeline up, is that worth it? Of course it is. You know, or ultimately you could be an absolute novice to property, like I once was. You know, I'm nothing special. So, you know, I just got the knowledge, hung around with the right people, I networked with the right people, I listened to the right people, and I put it all together in my own way. And, you know, I'm nothing special. So if you're right at the beginning, then you can do this as well, you know, and the strategy there laid out step by step. A beginner's guide, what is that strategy? How can I fully understand what Airbnb is? How can I fully understand what service accommodation is? What is a HMO? You know, all the way through to how you then set them up, how you go and find the deals, how you analyze the deals, how you make sure you're staying on the right side of the money, how you de-risk yourself, you know, how you negotiate with the landlords or the estate agents, how you present your figures, how you do your follow-ups, all the way through to setups, how you organize your cleaners, what you get your cleaners to look out for, you know, and then beyond there in terms of marketing and everything else that we continue to put in. So head over there now, lukeholmesacademy.co.uk, and I look forward to seeing you in the members area. I hope this has been useful, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.